The Western Rebellion of 1549, otherwise known as the Prayer Book Rebellion, was the first serious rebellion in the reign of Edward VI. Now, it originally could be seen to have originated in Cornwall, where basically there was discontent with the rise of Protestantism following the death of Henry VIII. And in 1549, peasants in Cornwall had risen up against the imposition of the Acts of Uniformity, which is basically a way of standardising religion, and set up camp. Now, the risings in Cornwall were the prelude to the problems in Devon. In Devon, the rising had started due to the locals objecting to the use of the new prayer book, which was incredibly radical, the Book of Common Prayer, and insisted the priests say Mass in the old style, in Latin, etc. By June the 20th, the rebels from Devon and Cornwall had joined up together. Now, although the king's men offered to pardon if they dispersed, they did not. They set up camp in Exeter, or set up camp near Exeter, and the 6,000-strong rebel army actually besieged Exeter. Now, rebels had a list of demands. Most of them were very religious demands, as is shown, as they wanted the restoration of the 6 Articles, which was Act 2 of it, Article 2 of their demands. They wanted the Mass back in Latin, even though they didn't understand it, because the whole idea of the Catholic Church was this kind of mysticism in it. Reasserting the traditional doctrine, so the idea of transubstantiation and purgatory, which were all things that had been taken out under the new prayer book. Basically, they wanted the removal of Protestantism. Other concerns can be shown through the return of Cardinal Pole to government instead of actually just as a religious leader, which leads credence to the idea that maybe the rebels were actually protesting the right of succession of Edward and even Henry, because Cardinal Pole was actually had Yorkist connections. And interestingly enough, they also wanted the release of Richard Crispin and John Morriman, who were both Catholic preachers. Now, these are significant because Morriman also opposed Henry's divorce. Again, maybe more justification of why they may not have been against succession. Now, they attacked the gentry, particularly in Cornwall. They attacked the gentry of St Michael's Mount. In Devon, they killed William Hellions, who was basically the only noble who actually opposed them, and attacked Tremonton Castle as well, and actually put the owner in jail. And the government, to a certain extent, tried and burnt lots of rebel defences. In the siege of Exeter, the rebels looked like they were going to win, actually, because they'd found a way of stopping food and water going into the city. However, the mayor at the time was very sensible and actually distributed food amongst the people in the cities for very, very cheap prices, as well as discounted firewood. And the idea was that the stocks would last and business would go as usual, and therefore the rebels wouldn't have any ground in order to, no one would have the city over. Lord Ross was actually delayed in dealing with them because of unrest in Oxfordshire at the same time, but he arrived eventually and killed over 4,000 rebels during the siege, which obviously put an end to the rebellion.